Hello there and welcome back to Agostino Zinga Show with your host Agostino Zinga, and this is episode number 942. That is 942 of the Agostino Zinga Show, coming to you live and direct from an undisclosed location somewhere within the depths of East London. How you doing? How you feeling? How you doing? How you feeling? Great, amazing, good to hear, good to know, good to hear, good to know. I've been better. It's been an interesting week on the internet, hasn't it? It's been an interesting week on the internet. It's been an interesting week in culture, interesting week in fucking society, interesting week indeed. If you're requiring a trigger warning, this whole episode will probably be a trigger warning. That's for sure. But I think life is now a trigger warning. Life itself is a trigger warning. No matter how fucking secluded, no matter how hunkered down, no matter how locked in, no matter how anti you are, somehow life will come to you and life will remind you exactly what is going on out there. You will be reminded in clear detail, in HD, with a live stream, with a tweet, with a message. Someone will remind you of all the horrors that are going on out there. You just cannot avoid it. You just simply cannot avoid it. Would I avoid it personally? I don't think so. I think it's important to be aware of what's going on, to kind of keep your head on a swivel, watch your six, as they say. But God almighty, man, it's fucking bleak out there, isn't it? It's absolutely bleak. Just the other day, we were all just coming to grips with, or at least I was anyway, coming to grips with the flipping stabbing that happened on the bus, right, with that young lady from Ukraine. RIP to that young woman from Ukraine. We were all just coming to grips with it and kind of figuring out, how to feel, seeing all the political pundits turning that lady's death into a reason to stoke the fires and the separation and anti-fucking black rhetoric and all this malarkey. And then as we're just about settling on a kind of conclusion of that kind of horrific story, and I think I read the other day, actually, her parents or her family in Ukraine, she was told by the US kind of, offered to send her body back to Ukraine, but her family said, no, just leave it there, because their daughter would have preferred that, because she loved America, because she left Ukraine to escape the war, start a new life and shit. So she would have preferred if her body was buried in America. Just a tragic situation to think about, like her entire family in Ukraine not having access or not being able to go to the burial site where she's actually buried, and it's having to fly over to, it's just whatever, just hard to fucking compute. And then of course, as I'm fucking sitting there after, I think I got back from the gym or something, just scrolling on my fucking social medias, right, specifically my ex fucking feed, and as I was scrolling, I think it may happen 10 minutes beforehand, but my phone hadn't refreshed yet, and my hand accidentally slipped. You know when you're scrolling on the timeline, your finger slips? My finger slips, the fucking feed goes right up to the top, and the first thing I see is a post from Autism Capital saying Charlie Kirk has been shot. And obviously, when you hear Charlie Kirk has been shot, it doesn't sound like Charlie Kirk has been assassinated or has been killed. It just says Charlie Kirk has been shot. So when I play the video, I was expecting him to get shot in the arm, shot in the shoulder, leg. I don't know what I wasn't expecting what I saw. Then obviously, as you're watching it and he answers a question, he kind of sits back to take a beat, and as he goes to take a breath, boom, the fucking bullet hits his fucking neck, and the blood just spews out. I'm sure most of you guys have already seen the clip. It just fucking gushes out, and he kind of tenses up in that kind of position that I remember from XXXTentacion. That's what I kind of remember, that kind of, oh shit, that's how you know when someone's dead, when they've got that kind of tense look about them. His security guard behind him sort of like rushes behind to kind of stop him from falling on the floor. But by then, you know, it's already too late. You already knew instantly, saw that clip, that he was dead. There's no chance he was going to survive that. And then, yeah, you see everybody kind of panicking. And then one of the weirdest things was seeing that kid. I'm sure some of you guys have seen him, that kid that went live on his TikTok, like on his IG, like, yeah, come and follow my account, I'm live on the field, it's crazy, they just killed it. Like like, honestly, it felt like a scene out of a movie. It felt like a scene you might see out of a movie from like A24 or something. It was fucking spooky. This kid on live stream just bragging and talking about the shooting. I was like, Jesus Christ, bro, we have been desensitized properly when it comes to violence, isn't it? Because this kid was like, he didn't look scared, he didn't look worried, he didn't look like worried that the shooter was going to shoot him either. He looked pretty composed. He was talking about the shooting, kind of talking us through his feelings and stuff. You could see people around him scrambling, keeping their heads low, and he was just like there with his head up high, pointing his phone in the sky towards him and shit, and just talking like somebody would when they're vlogging and shit. Little do we know, behind him there's somebody who's fucking slumped over dead. The really funny footage, actually, is the footage of that black guy. Have you guys seen the black guy? The black guy that was stealing all the fucking Make America Great hats. Because I think they're official. Because I guess the official ones must be quite expensive. Because I'm sure you can buy MAGA hats on like Amazon and eBay and shit for peanuts. But I guess the official ones that Trump wears that look really good quality, to be fair. The embroidery is really thick. The color red is really rich, and they look like, you know, really good cotton. I'm imagining those kind of MAGA hats are probably expensive. So some black guy, you know, the table that fucking that was by, I think, yeah, the table that was by the side of fucking Kirk when you're speaking. There was loads of hats there, and the guy just starts throwing the hats at people in the crowd. Like, here. And obviously the police officer goes, "Get the fuck out of here! What the fuck are you doing?" And he slowly but surely walks away. But it's like, Jesus Christ, look at the world we live in. A guy, there's probably a pool of blood back there, and this guy's just jacking the hats. I was surprised he didn't get arrested. I'm not going to lie. He's a black guy too. I'm surprised the police didn't like jump on him and arrest him or do a fucking George Floyd on him. I'm surprised, but you know, he kind of got let off in that regard. And then the next video I think I saw was a clip of him getting carried out by his security staff, Charlie Kirk, right? And you can see from there he was dead as well. They were all carrying him out to put him in a car because for some reason there wasn't any ambulances. I forgot why they said why. For those type of speaking events, which it doesn't make sense to me because it's really hot as well in Utah, I'd imagine, on that particular day. Just in general, you'd want to have some ambulances, but they don't have them nearby. But there was a hospital nearby at least. But even when he was getting carried to his car, I think one of his arms was dangling, and you could just tell from how lifeless his arm was that he was a goner. You know, he was definitely a goner. I'm pretty sure they probably didn't even have that much time to try and work on him when they got to the hospital and probably pronounced him dead right there because that shot was just so precise. And you know, I've heard some people say, oh yeah, it's 200 yards. If you have decent enough experience with guns and you have a scope, it's easy to do. But I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think so because he was sitting on that chair. He was swaying back and forth, answering questions. Maybe somebody standing up in the crowd asking a question could have got in line of the shooter's sight. Loads of things could have happened. Do you know what I mean? The wind. So I think it really would have taken a skilled shooter to do that. Obviously, if you're lying in a prone position, I think it makes it easier, right? If I'm assuming if it's easier to do, it's easier to probably snipe somebody from a high elevation while you're prone as opposed to standing on your feet. And again, this is coming from an English guy that does no experience with guns, but I'd imagine it's probably easier to do it prone. Clear line of sight, minimal wind, super sunny day. You can see your target directly under the gazebo with your naked eye. It's probably not that difficult. But then you have to imagine, from what I heard, he allegedly travels very like he's patterned, as they say in England. He's patterned, right? He doesn't travel like an idiot. He has security with him all the time, and allegedly he's always wearing a bulletproof vest. And I think some people are suggesting, I don't think this is true though. Some people are suggesting, I have seen some people suggest that maybe the bullet that hit his neck actually ricocheted off of his bulletproof vest into his neck. That's what I've heard online. Don't hold me to it. Don't tell me I'm wrong if I'm right. But allegedly they're saying that the bullet may have ricocheted off his bulletproof vest and hit his neck. But I don't think so. I've watched the video back a few times and it does look like it went directly through his neck. Probably you'd imagine, you know, a high caliber weapon, bullet, or whatever it may be, as well, to kind of because it looked like it passed through as well. It went straight through, ripped through the artery, I'm assuming, hence why all the blood was coming out. And again, if you watch it closely, he literally was taking the breath in. He was literally inhaling, and then it's like, fucking hell. I wonder if in those moments, do you know? No one's probably gonna ever tell you. Maybe somebody that gets shot could tell you, like a victim that survives. But I wonder if in that instance, do you know you got shot? Like, or is it just a flash? I wonder what happens in that moment because he didn't know, obviously. But I wonder if you know. Do you feel it, or do you just like suddenly you wake up and you're fucking sitting next to Tupac? I wonder what happens. But yeah, crazy situation, man. Crazy situation. It has been interesting to see the reaction from a lot of pundits. I get the feeling this is going to be a big wake up call for a lot of people in terms of how they talk online regarding political topics. I feel like it. I feel like I saw a very tearful response from Ethan Klein from H3H3, He posted a statement which I read on Random Show. The statement was very kind of like, it was almost like he was making the death of Charlie Kirk about himself. But I think since then he has kind of shown a lot of emotion, empathy regarding the whole thing. He was sobbing, I think, on the episode of H3 the other day, really crying his eyes out. A lot of the crying could be because he was picturing himself in that situation, or just because of the current state of the affairs we're in, where people are literally assassinating people based on their views, which is, you know, kind of crazy, really, because I'm a big believer in words not being violence. But I guess nowadays, with political tensions being where it's at, the stakes being so high, people's real lives being impacted, by the way, people's real lives being impacted by some of these policies and people's things saying, people are just, you know, going crazy. But I've been really interested to see the response of people has been very interesting, very sobering, very, very kind of like reflective. I think this may change it. I don't think, because I don't know, man. I'm talking out my ass here because I don't know jack shit about politics, especially in the UK, let alone in America. But I don't really believe that you have to be hateful to be a conservative, or to be a Republican, or to be a Tory. You don't have to be hateful. You can believe in conservative principles, conservative ideology, conservative traditions, conservative policies. You can be that person without being hateful, without being racist, without being bigoted, without being homophobic, without being transphobic, without being Islamophobic. You can honestly live that life, espouse those views, have that worldview, push for that in government, in politics, without being hateful. And I think for some reason, a lot of these guys and girls, and I get why they did it, because it's very profitable. Let's be honest, it's very, very profitable to stoke up the fires of division and hatred amongst people and whip people up into a frenzy. Obviously, the governments that we, or the politicians that we vote for, they also help it by kind of, you know, turning a blind eye to certain things, doing other things. You know, there's some things that happen, but I honestly don't think you have to be hateful. I just don't get it. Like this need to always be hateful. Like, for instance, that young lady, that Ukrainian lady, that young girl who unfortunately was murdered on the bus by that crazy guy with a knife, right? That could have been a moment where you don't need to make it into black people are all demons. They're the ones that do all the violence. We need to stop black people. We need to you could easily turn that moment, if you're conservative, into like, yeah, there needs to be harsher prison sentences, harsher penalties. Allegedly, that guy that murdered that Ukrainian girl was in prison 14 times, or in and out of jail 14 fucking times. 14 fucking times. That doesn't make any sense, right? That person shouldn't have been in the streets in the first place. So if you're a conservative, you could have easily just flipped that situation and been like, hey, we need to have harsher penalties. We need to maybe have, I don't know, 3 strikes and you're out sort of rule, whatever. Like something, you could have pushed for that instead of pushing for it's all the black people's fault. Black people are just beasts, they're animals, they're violent people. It's like, come on, brother. Like, this is not the time for it. This is really, really not the time for it, especially when there's no evidence to show that guy was going, like, it was a racist attack. I think some people said, they overheard him say he wants to kill a white person. But again, this guy was a schizophrenic, if I'm not mistaken. Like, there's so much conversation around that sort of stuff. But again, it's easy to just kind of stoke the racial divide, stoke the hatred, because that kind of pays. And that's the unfortunate thing as well. A lot of these guys don't even believe what they're talking about. But it just pays, you know? It pays well to kind of divide people instead of unite people, which is also something that doesn't happen either, because even on the left, like when the Democrats, like, don't get it twisted. When the Democrats ever get re-elected into government and, you know, they have another president, they will also do the same as the Republicans. They won't unite the country of America. They won't do that. That's a really concerning thing about this whole situation. Like, it seems like nobody wants to unite. Nobody wants to bring somebody on their side and then use that person to unite. Everyone's like, no, you have to pick a side, and then we're gonna attack the other side, and we're gonna keep stoking the fire. We're gonna demonize people. We're gonna villainize people. It's just bad, man. It's bad all around. And the really sad thing about this situation is that, you know, I get Charlie Kirk said some hateful things. I get Charlie Kirk went out of his way to be a bit of a dickhead, but he's also just a political influencer. This isn't like a member of parliament. This isn't a congressman. This isn't a mayor. This isn't a vice president. This isn't a governor. This is just an influencer, a political influencer, and he's getting assassinated like this. Because do you know the amount of hate you must have in your heart for this person to do that? Do you know the level of hate you must have to plan this execution the way it's done? Meticulously planned, by the way. Meticulously planned in terms of getaway. Allegedly, the roof where the shooter kind of shot him from was next to a park, next to a car park, easy getaway. Obviously, all the confusion and the fucking craziness that happened after the shooting, you could just slip away very easily. They don't really have much clues apart from, I think, a couple of pictures they released of somebody that might be a person of interest. So you have to have a lot of hatred in your heart for this person, but for some reason, it's directed at the influencers and not directed towards the politicians. And you know why it's directed to the influencers? It's directed to the influencers because they're usually the ones who have really unfiltered points of view. They say the things that politicians can't usually say. You know, they kind of speak for the quote unquote people, which then garners them more attention, more views, more money. You see how the cycle goes. You see how the cycle goes. It's fucking horrible. It's really fucking crazy. But I have seen a lot of like fear in people's eyes that I would never think I'd see. Nick Fuentes' I saw Candace Owens' statement. A lot of these people are looking like they're really reflecting on the situation and thinking, you know what, I might need to chill because, you know, I didn't follow Charlie Kirk closely, but I did see him on my timeline from time to time. And I have to say, like, I don't think the stuff that he said was way worse than the stuff that I've heard Candace Owens say. The stuff that I've heard fucking Nick Fuentes say. So those type of guys, even Milo. So I think those type of guys have got to be, they're going to be sweating. They're going to be fucking sweating because if this sort of thing could happen to fucking Charlie Kirk, imagine what could happen to them. Yes, he's maybe a lot more, he's a lot more out there. Turning Points USA is a big deal. He does a lot of those conferences. He goes and does debates on a lot of colleges and shit. He attends events. He networks really well. I said the other day on the Random Show that I personally think he would have been a presidential candidate, in my personal opinion. That was my just off the cuff guess because of his pull, because of his appeal, because of his age. I definitely would have thought he would have been a political presidential candidate sometime in the future. So this is a massive deal that this has happened. And yeah, man, it's just crazy that you are all desensitized to the violence, because after the initial shock of seeing that clip, I was able to watch it back like many times and I didn't really feel nothing. You know what I mean? That's how desensitized we all are from seeing the atrocities that are going on in Palestine, from seeing I think even on that same day, if I'm not mistaken, on that same day there was a school shooting, right? In America there was a school shooting. The other really crazy poetic kind of thing, right? Biblical thing, right? Live by the sword, die by the sword. But in this case, live by the gun, die by the gun. Allegedly, if I'm not mistaken, Charlie Kirk was a big proponent on, like, you know, the right to bear arms. He was a big proponent on that. He spoke openly. I think there's one clip going around where he speaks about, if there has to be like casualties for us to have the right to bear arms. It's just the nature of the game. Some people are going to have to die. And now look, you know, he's the one that fucking passed away. Fucking crazy. But there is an update. There is a small update regarding this. There is a suspect that the FBI have kind of released and said this might be the person responsible. Courtesy of FBI Salt Lake City Twitter account, it says, we're asking for the public's help identifying this person of interest in connection with the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk at the Utah Valley University. This is a person that they're alleging could have possibly shot Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to lie, he kind of looks like Yuri. If you know Yuri from No Jumper, he kind of looks like Yuri from No Jumper. Obviously, LOL, joking. Don't take me seriously, Yuri. Don't get crazy. But he kind of looks like Yuri. He's a white dude. Looks kind of white to me. He's wearing a distressed baseball cap. He's got glasses on now. He's got a long sleeve shirt with what looks like an American flag picture or something on the front, with like dark blue jeans and white trainers. And he's also carrying a backpack. Now, the confusing thing about this for me is that the first picture, it looks like he sees the camera. He's kind of spooked. And it looks like he's walking up the stairs. From what I understand, he was on a roof. So I wonder, did this happen before? Was this him before the shooting? Because he also doesn't have a rifle bag, unless the rifle was like foldable. He has a backpack on. There's no rifle bag, you know? Usually rifle bags are a lot longer. But maybe it folds up. Or maybe he left the gun at the roof, you never know. But that allegedly is the person that they are looking for and saying who may be one of the prime suspects for the shooting. Pretty fucking crazy. But so far, no leads. They arrested some old dude at the scene of the crime, who allegedly was just ranting and screaming and taking responsibility for the shooting because he just hates Charlie Kirk. They arrested a 25-year-old dude as well, who I think was a dude that was spotted around the area of the shooting, who had like a rifle as well. But I think somebody said in the comments it was an airsoft rifle or something, maybe, or somewhere. I think they released him as well. But yeah, it seems like the person's at large. No one's taking responsibility for it. No one nothing. But I think we can kind of guess why they shot him in the first place. But let's read the article courtesy of BBC. It says Charlie Kirk, 31, was speaking at the Utah University in Orem on the 10th of September as part of the American Comeback Tour. He sat under a white gazebo to take questions from a crowd of 3,000 people. At about 12:20, he was asked by a member of the crowd, "Do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years? Charlie Kirk replied, "Too many." The questionnaire then states that there had been 5 in 10 years and asked Kirk how many mass shootings there had been in that time. And Charlie Kirk says, counting or not counting gang violence. Then a single shot is heard, which is believed to have been fired from the roof of the Luce Center, a building overlooking the quad. That's a crazy question to ask somebody, right? The timing of that is insane, isn't it? That he gets asked that question, which I think is a poignant question to ask and kind of speaks to the propensity of some of these conservative kind of, activists to kind of stoke the fires of hatred. Because I couldn't for the life, because I saw a lot of that conversation on the timeline. People talking about, transgender people and them being confused and their minds being broken and not being sure of their identity. And I couldn't work out what people were talking about. Then the more I started reading, the more I found out that, one of the angles that conservatives were trying to go for after that shooting that happened in that school with that transgender person, they're trying to say that the shootings that have been happening lately, the mass shootings, have been because of transgenders. So they're basically it's a way for them to kind of get out the woke people, get out the left-leaning people. And I was like, hold on, that's the conclusion you come to. There's another mass shooting in America, and the conclusion you come to is that the transgender people did it. We need to eradicate transgenderism in fucking United States of America. I just couldn't for the life of me figure it. It just seemed like such a weird and wild logic jump, It seemed like a wild logic jump to make. But here they were. And obviously this person at this event speaking to that logic jump, there's been way more mass shooting, there's been fucking transgender shooters, but you're focusing on the transgender people again, just unnecessarily stoking hatred. You could easily say in that situation that, we need more stricter gun control, gun laws, blah, 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 blah. But trying to make it out to be a case of a person's fucking gender and shit is just fucking insane. And if you watch the video as well, which is really sad, he takes a breath. He kind of answers the question, takes a breath, puts his mic down, and then boom, the bullet kind of goes through. It's fucking crazy. Absolutely fucking crazy. There's an illustration that kind of gives you an idea on the layout and what went down and how it transpired. To be fair, I know I mentioned that it wouldn't be an easy shot because, it doesn't seem like an easy shot to me. They say it was approximately 142 yards, so a bit closer than 200 yards. But if you see from the image, it does look like the shooter had a clear line of sight because they were kind of, if you're not watching the clip, where Charlie Kirk was sitting, they were kind of off to the right. They weren't dead center because when I initially saw the video, I assumed the shooter was somewhere around here, like dead center of the line of sight, so that you have to kind of make sure the bullet didn't hit anybody else. But they were kind of to the left hand side, so there was a way to kind of make sure that they had a clear line of sight on Charlie Kirk and nobody else. But again, pretty scary, especially when you see that video. There's a video going around of some person who was sitting by the side or standing by the side. I'm not too sure if this was before or after, but it did look like when they were pointing up at the roof that they saw something like a rifle or something on the roof. So someone probably could have seen the shooter. I'm just wondering if this will usher in the acceptance of stuff like Palantir and like surveillance, like China level surveillance in America, where they just have like cameras on every fucking single lamppost, every fucking single where. You have to carry ID cards around with you all the time. I wonder if this is going to usher in that introduction where like people, because you hear some people say already online, like, I've got nothing to hide. I don't care about surveillance. You can surveil me. I've got nothing to hide. So I wonder if this is going to be a thing we're going to see going forward. Palantir fucking taking, using these situations as a chance to kind of roll out all of their mass surveillance systems, which is fucking crazy. It says here, Kirk then slumps in his chair with a clearly visible wound on his neck. He's bleeding profusely as his staff get him off stage. Yep, not going to play that clip. The crowds are around the tent then begin to flee and the screams can be heard. We'll play that clip actually of the screams. You can hear a bit of that because that's not the shooting. Can you think about the people that were there and how they're traumatized? I also read that his family were there. his wife and his 2 kids were also in attendance. The people that were there, can you imagine the trauma that they're going to live with? Like, especially because I saw a clip of the person asking the question, because if I'm not mistaken, at these things, you don't ask the question where you're at. You kind of stand in a line, I guess, and then you'll come one after the other and ask your question. So there's a person standing on the barriers, literally looking at Charlie Kirk. So those people had a clear view of him. He was literally within arm's distance. So imagine the fucking trauma. Imagine how they're gonna feel. Imagine how hard it is for them to sleep at night, playing back that image of his blood splattering all over the place, some of which probably splattered on people. Fucking wild. What do we know about the suspect? No one so far has been caught. On Thursday, the Salt Lake City office of FBI released 2 photographs of a person of interest. At a press conference hours earlier, the FBI agent Robert Bowles said that a high-powered bolt-action rifle had been found in a woodland area near the university. Oh, okay, so he dumped the rifle. I always assumed when an assassination happened, maybe I'm mistaken, but I always assumed if you wanted to get away with an assassination, again, this is always from movies, that you had to pick up the shell casings, right? Pick up the shell casings after you shot the person, and then you'd have to take the rifle with you and kind of dispose of it. Because if I'm assuming if you can't find a weapon, then it's harder to convict somebody. But this person just threw the gun away. I guess you can throw it away if it does have prints or something, but I guess the gun would be an easier way to track somebody. You'd have to kind of take it with you and destroy it somehow. You couldn't just leave it somewhere, right? But who knows? A footwear impression, a palm print, and a forearm print have been found. What? That's quite a lot of fucking evidence, isn't it? Footwear impression, a palm print, and a forearm print have been found. God almighty. Bew Mason, Utah's public safety commissioner, said the gunman appeared to be of college age and blended in well with the other students. Yeah, as they have to. I also wonder if this is a foreign government thing. Do you reckon this is a foreign government thing? This could be a foreign government thing. You never fucking know. They said good video footage showed a suspect jumping from the roof area after the shooting and fleeing the campus. This appears to be supported by the video released in the public domain. BBC Verify has examined one of which is believed to show a figure on the roof of the university building. It's hard to determine what the dark shaped picture might be. However, the building can be identified loose center from the Kirk was shot. So this is the video showing the person on the roof.
Get right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying?
Huh.
He just ran from over, where's my finger? Whoa. From over there, ran in. And now he's right there. Just saying.
Crazy. Figure seen moving on the roof after the shooting. You can see, you can see definitely somebody moving from there to the left hand side. And this is, I guess, as a witness as well. Witnesses describe the event.
Suddenly, it sounds like lightning. I hear this loud sound and I'm like, that wasn't what I thought it was, is it? I was like, no, this can't be happening right now. And we all ducked. Everybody got down, and I instantly just started praying for Charlie Kirk.
The first student got up and they were talking about religion, Mormonism, and Christianity, and the second student...
Yeah, this girl's interesting, right? Because I think people have been focusing in on this girl here, the blonde girl, because she's smiling and she seems quite happy describing what happened. But I think that's mostly just her processing the situation. Everyone has different ways of processing stressful situation, and sometimes, myself included, I can sometimes laugh, like hysterically. When something very tragic and horrible is happening, like you just get into a weird laughing fit where you just it's just the absurdity of the situation. You just can't help but laugh and snicker and giggle. And it comes across very callous and stuff, but it's actually way worse because you're not really processing the emotion properly. And then later on you have like a crazy crash. So I think she's having the same sort of thing. She's sort of responding in a weird way where she's kind of smiling and she's almost talking about it like she's at a concert or something.
To get up was talking about transgenderism and how gun violence has been very frequent with that community, and that is when it happened. Pretty ironic.
We heard a loud bang.
She seems quite happy about it, isn't it?
I saw his body actually in slow motion kind of fall over.
As soon as we heard the shot and we saw what had happened, we all...
You can tell it's Utah, isn't it? There's so many whites, isn't it? Like it's a bunch of white people over there, isn't it? Not much multiculturalism goes on in fucking Utah.
dropped to the ground. And I want to say we sat like that for about 30 to 45 seconds. And then everyone around us got up and started running. They had moved the barricades and we all fled from behind Kirk's tent.
When I saw students running off from the campus over the bridge there, a lot of them were crying. It was traumatizing for everyone.
They were probably crying because they couldn't get to ask their question, isn't it? Knowing kids today, knowing this younger generation, they were probably more crying because they couldn't ask their question as opposed to crying because fucking Charlie Kirk got fucking murked right in front of them. Absolutely crazy. I heard a loud shot, a loud bang, then I saw his body actually in slow motion in kind of a fall over, said one witness. We all dropped to the ground. I want to say we sat like there for 30 to 45 seconds, and then everyone around us got up and started running, said Emma Pitts. Who was Charlie Kirk? Charlie Kirk was one of the most high-profile right-wing activists, media personality in the US. He was trusted ally of Trump, attended his inauguration, and regularly visited the White House. As an 18-year-old in 2012, he co-founded Turning Points USA. So when you think about it, a little bit of a political savant, isn't it? A little bit of a political savant. 18 years old, he founded Turning Points USA, which I think was fundamentally one of the most important things behind Trump's election in the first place. Like he was definitely played a big role in, I think, turning a lot of people conservative, especially in the United States. Young men, alongside probably with Nick Fuentes, you say, they were probably two of the main people who kind of, preached the gospel of conservatism over there to the young men. So there is a possibility in the future that he probably could have been a potential presidential candidate. I think so, man. I know it's a fucking crazy guess and a wild thing to throw out there, but I've heard of people talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene being a potential Republican fucking presidential candidate. If Marjorie Taylor Greene can be one, definitely fucking Charlie Kirk could have been one. He became known for holding open-air debates on campuses across the country, fielding quick question and signature prove me wrong style. His social media feed and daily podcasts offer a snapshot of what he often debated. The issues range from gun rights, climate change to faith and family values. Kirk had many critics who saw him as a divisive figure and promoted controversial and at times conspiratorial beliefs, such as the false claim that the 2020 election from Trump was stolen. But he also had his fans. They credit him with playing a key role in convincing young voters to turn out for Trump in last year's election. He was valued within the Trump administration for his keen understanding on the MAGA movement. I would imagine as well, based on his connection with Trump, that Trump allegedly, I think Trump loved him as well. I don't know if that's actually true, but from what I've been able to see from the outside looking in, I think Trump was a big fan of him, and obviously for what he done for his campaign and shit. So I would imagine Trump's probably really messed up about this, and will probably do everything in his power to make sure that person's brought to justice, and will most likely put some measures, put some policies, put some changes, some laws in effect to stop this happening again. Because this is pretty crazy, man. Like, this is pretty fucking crazy. It's one thing for people to try to assassinate Trump, right? Him being the president, him being divisive as he is and shit. But people are now going after fucking political influencers and shit. Pretty wild. But we also have to be fair and say the Charlie Kirk guy wasn't exactly, he didn't go out of his way to be nice, did he? That's a really sad bit about it. Like, he doesn't leave a good legacy really behind, apart from the Turning Points USA thing, and obviously changing some people over to fucking conservatism. He doesn't really leave a good legacy. A lot of the stuff he left behind was just hatred and division. You know, sowing the seeds of hatred and division, never really trying to bring people together, always dividing people, pitting people against each other, casual racism, bigotry, homophobia, Islamophobia, like all that sort of shit. That's the only thing he kind of leaves behind. Although people are talking about, oh yeah, he was a good dad, it's sad that dad is sad. Let's be real though. Let's be real. No one really thought about his fucking kids or his family while he was out there. He didn't really talk about them that much, I don't think, either, or put them in front street. He kind of focused on his kind of political aspirations and career, and you know, essentially he's now being judged on that, and the legacy he leaves behind is just that, really. You know, that's really it. Obviously if you're a fan of his, you're going to be super upset and pissed off, but I understand both sides. Like, it's a bit strange to see people celebrate someone's death, but again, you know, because of the amount of stuff that he said, you can understand why, because people, especially if you're somebody's political opponent, they're not exactly going to go out of their way to extend their well wishes to you, even in your time of passing. It's going to be a resting pisting until the very end, which is kind of callous and cold. But in a world where people like to exchange pleasantries, you know, just to be kind of nice, it is weirdly cool. It is weirdly refreshing, let's say, to see people being like, nah, like, I'm not going to extend my prayers and thoughts it's fuck him until the end, because he was like, fuck me until the end, right? He didn't really give me enough grace, so I'm not going to give him any grace. And I saw some person actually say on here on Twitter, actually said Charlie Kirk was an awful representation of Christianity. There's no way you die and there's no tangible record of the good that you've spoken. Just endless hours of you stoking hate, division, bigotry, oppression on everyone's that doesn't look like you. Be serious. It's the Christians of old, that slave owners that are the hard done by. That man successfully profited and galvanized hate. He planted and sowed seeds globally to make people hateful under the guise of Christianity. What did Peter 2 tell you? Know when you're being used as a tool of fuckery. It's because of someone can quote a scripture just means that they have a decent or recall or nothing else. Who are they as a person? You're too easily duped. This is why the world is going to shit and non-believers and Christians are insufferable. Scripture recall has you guys hanging on by the man's nutsack, but he has a hateful as the sky is blue, like everyone else can see. Be for real. So yeah, man, people are not happy. People are not happy with some of the well wishes that people are extending. I think if you don't want to extend well wishes, you don't want to extend thoughts and prayers, that's fine. But then attacking people who are, it's kind of insane. I'm not going to lie. I get if you don't like the guy and you don't want to say thoughts and prayers, you're saying rest in peace. I understand. But then going out of your way to insult people who are saying that, people who have like empathy to some degree, despite their political opposition against the guy, I think that is fucking wild. It really is fucking wild. But some of the clips I've seen of him, bro, some of the clips I've seen of the guy aren't great. I'm not going to lie. Like, some of the clips I've seen of the guy are not too great. One of them being this particular clip here. Doesn't really paint him in the best light, does it?
This shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad. It was evil. But what happened? Something changed. They committed less crimes.
Maybe they were afraid. I mean, 4,000 black men, women, and children were killed in violent lynch mobs.
That's your explanation. But I guess,
racial terror permeated American culture for hundreds of years.
Black America is worse than it has been
that affected
in the last 80 years.
The generational psyche of an entire group of people?
No, I'm sure it did. I'm not discounting that. This shows they were.
He's saying that black Americans were better off when they're enslaved in the 1940s. So I think you can understand why some people are like, rest in piss, innit? I think you can really understand why some people are like, rest in piss, we don't fucking care, get the fuck out of here. Because of views like that. Views like that are not going to get people on your side. They're not going to get people to have sympathy or empathy with you. They're just going to fucking be like, yeah, you know what? Get the fuck out of here. I saw this one guy actually going crazy. This one guy actually, I'm not too sure if he's actually a fan or a friend of his, but this one random dude went fucking crazy over fucking Charlie Kirk passing. I'll show you this one quickly. Big up Assad Aziz, actually. Thank you for the super chat, brother. He says here, condolences are in the marketplace of ideas. That's fucking crazy. Big up Assad Aziz. Condolences are in the marketplace of ideas. But this guy seemed to not be happy that Charlie Kirk passed away.
This is such bullshit. I've never been so pissed in my whole life. They just murdered Charlie Kirk right here in Utah. I'm so freaking pissed right now. This is bullshit. I just saw blood squirting out of his neck. I love that guy. He would have been our next president. I am so pissed right now. Why do they always come with fucking violence? Gosh damn it. Use your freaking words as they're talking to you people. Who shot Charlie Kirk? I'm driving in a Provo right now. I'm so pissed. Damn it.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? Anyone that cries into a camera is not real, in my opinion. It's fake as fuck. Pressing record, playing a video, or recording yourself before you cry, you're not really serious about this crying thing. This is very performative, very stupid. I don't know. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. But yes. What else we got here? I then want to show you another thing, a conclusion some guy made, which I thought was very, very, very on point. That kind of got across all the points that I was about to make regarding the situation. Where is it here? He kind of speaks about it eloquently. I think he's a truck driver or something, some truck driver guy. Where is it? Some truck. I know he had a very interesting point about reparations as well, which oddly enough, you know what? I think there's probably a lot of split when it comes to reparations, especially within the black community, especially in North America. I'm imagining. I think, within African Americans, I think there's a split. I would imagine there's not, maybe there's a majority of people that are in favor of reparation, but I would imagine it's not something that all black people universally agree on. I don't think so. So I find that debate interesting to kind of listen to from the outside looking in as a guy that doesn't live there and shit. Interesting to hear the debate, but Charlie Kirk had some very interesting views on reparations that a lot of people didn't like either, because that seems to be like a hot button topic for a lot of people, especially African Americans. Obviously, you could imagine why with the history of slavery. It seems to be a very, very strong point of contention, and Charlie Kirk was very flippant about the whole thing and dismissive.
Should black people get reparations?
I believe they should.
So I, white man, have to play for black people. Why?
Wow, that's a really selfish thing you
No,
just said.
hold on. Why should I have...
That's a really non-empathetic thing to
Wait,
say.
why should I have empathy for a race? I have white guilt because I breathe? Why should the white students here have to work harder to pay for black kids? What is that all about?
Not every black person has lineage connected to slaves.
That's
and
true.
every white person doesn't have lineage connected to slaves.
Yes, that's right. So since every black person doesn't have a lineage connected to slaves, why should we generalize and say reparations for black people?
Because there are people that are in a worse place.
So over 150 years, they didn't have any ability to make better decisions, to save money, and to invest. How about you take responsibility for your own actions instead of blaming the white man?
God damn. God. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Interesting points of view when it comes to that sort of stuff. And yeah, man, people are just not happy. People are just not fucking happy. And I want to play for you one conclusion clip here where he kind of sums up entirely everyone's thoughts regarding the whole situation. I think he sums up in the best way possible. Where is he? Where's my fucking black guy? Let me get him on the screen. Bear with me a second here as I try to get him up. Bada bing, bada boom. Where is he? That's not that guy. It's not that guy. Where is he? Where's my guy? Did I not save him? Maybe I didn't save him in the end. But it was some black dude that was in a car. He's in a truck and he's just like talking about it. And he has some very, 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 very good points that he made that I thought kind of summed up the situation perfectly. This is the kid that was there immediately after the shooting, actually. This is the kid immediately after the shooting who was there, who kind of took responsibility to just live stream the entire thing, which is fucking weird. But again, he's got big balls, by the way. Big balls. To not be scared that you might get shot next. Right after it happened.
It's your boy out on TikTok. There was just a gunshot at Charlie Kirk. We're in Utah. There's a gunfire. This is not a joke. Hey, let's go. Hey, let's go. Hey, let's go. It's your boy Outer TikTok. There was just a gunfire in Utah. This is not a drill. There is a gunfire in Utah. Shots fired here in Utah. This is not a joke. Charlie Kirk, Outer TikTok, Mormon Central, Utah. There was a gun that just fired off here at Charlie Kirk. I am not playing with y'all. Hey, make sure you go to church on Sunday. Read the Book of Mormon. This is not a drill. I'm not playing with y'all. Hey, Jesus is Lord. Jesus will protect you. Jesus is your savior, bro. I'm not even lying. Make sure you subscribe to Outer TikTok on Instagram.
It seems like a scene out of Black Mirror, innit? This seems like a scene out of Black Mirror. Look, somebody's literally covering their head with their hands, and he's like peace signing the fucking camera. This is macabre. This is dark, man. This is some dark shit. This is some fucking dark shit. Holy moly smokes. Yeah, he's out here doing the most, that guy. He's out here doing the most. He's out here doing the absolute most. But I think some people do love the most that he's currently trying to do. Let me get the clip up here. Where's this driver, man? Where is he? Did I not save him? I think I must have saved him, right? Where is he? Where is this guy? That's not the one. That's not the one. There's one guy in to get on here. He's like looks like a bus driver, truck driver guy who has some very interesting words. Actually, he summed it up perfectly. If I can find him, where is he? Bear with me a moment here. Okay, maybe I didn't save him. Maybe I didn't save the guy. There's like this truck driver guy who really kind of gave his opinion the right way, unfortunately, regarding the whole thing. Kind of summed it up perfectly, actually. But I can't seem to find his review of the situation because maybe I didn't save it. Or maybe it got deleted. Who fucking knows? Either way, yeah, man. I guess RIP to Charlie Kirk, innit? Gone. Absolutely gone. Absolutely gone. Talking about gone, right? Talking about gone. Because I did notice in the response to the Charlie Kirk stuff, a bunch of people have been changing their tone. I think they've been lowering the rhetoric, right? Not going as crazy as they were before. And I think it's going to change people how they act and how they move, because Charlie Kirk was a big deal, right? And if he can get taken out that way, then the other guys don't stand any chance if they keep, ramping up the fucking hateful, divisive fucking rhetoric. Well, some person who I also think is unnecessarily stoking fires and being antagonistic is Adam22. And for me personally, as a former fan of No Jumper, it's been really sad to see how No Jumper's devolved into this like gang platform, essentially, right? It's not really about the music. It's not really about breaking new artists. It's not about really having a fun podcast, live stream show. It's just about beef, essentially. And Adam22 is always at the center of it. He's always responsible for, I think, interviewing people who have ops, interviewing their ops, asking inflammatory, police-like questions in interviews, just generally being a bit of a nuisance. And I think it's unnecessary, because I think there's a way you can run a channel that kind of talks about and glorifies kind of, rap of a certain lineage, rap from the street, raps represents gangs, without stoking the fires, without fucking getting into the gang politics. And if you know anything about the West Coast, they're really serious about their gangs. They take gang banging very seriously. So if you, fuck around, you'll find out. But for some reason, Adam22 seems to be impervious to finding out. A lot of people kind of give him the blind, maybe because he's white, I don't know. But I feel like the people around No Jumper who beef with each other, especially the black people, they have way more venom. They have way more way more aggression. They have way more anger towards someone that looks like themselves, as opposed to Adam22, who I feel like is an agent of chaos. I'm not fucking calling for people to, enact violence on the guy, but I just find it odd how people are willing to crash out. They're willing to go to people's houses, meet people in Tazs gyms, do all sorts of manner of crazy shit, bring knives and guns and shit to the studio. But when it comes to Adam22, he seems to avoid all accountability when he does certain things. But I think this situation lately, where he kind of took the piss out of this drop your flag challenge, may be the one instance where he finally might get held accountable for his actions, because I thought this was incredibly unnecessary. If I'm not mistaken, this guy here down below, big up Urban Politics TV, this guy down below in the red hat is basically leading an initiative where he's encouraging a lot of people who are in gangs to drop their flag, which is essentially renouncing your gang and kind of embracing a life of legit, whatever, working, and kind of doing away with that kind of street violence, gang shit. And I think it's a good cause, because it's very, it's a very controversial thing as well. There's no real getting out of gangs, but him doing it in his public way, it's inspiring a lot of guys to kind of drop their flag and kind of lead a far more better life. For some reason, Adam22 sees this, and instead of maybe inviting the guy onto his channel to interview him, to ask him about the whole drop your flag challenge, to ask him about his affiliations, his past, his history, whatever, he instead mocks the guy and turns it into a joke, right? Like, takes the piss out of it, which leads to a whole lot of back and forth between him and Styles P and whatnot. But I was just looking at it thinking, like, what's wrong with this guy, man? Why does he do this? Is he doing this on purpose? Because just for the clicks and views? Does he have a death wish or something? Does he know? Does he think he's untouchable? Like, why does he do this all the time? It's so fucking out of order.
Since I publicly renounced the game, a lot of brothers been hitting me up like, yo, Hocus, I support what you're doing. I love it. Congratulations. I want to do the same. I just don't know how. Well, here's how. I'm going to tell you how. We're going to do it together. I'm starting to drop my flag challenge. And for all the brothers that want to do it, that have been hitting me up, or that didn't even say nothing to me, I'm going to need y'all to step forward and put your best foot forward and, take that leap and lead the way. Because there's y'all got a lot of influence. I know, because I speak to y'all. Y'all got a lot of influence. And there's a lot of brothers follow y'all down this path. If y'all just lead them down it. They just don't want to be judged. And it's okay. It's okay to not want to be judged, to be something for so long and not want to let it go. It's okay. But you gotta know what's good for you and what's not. And we all know. We all watch every single day. Every single day we watch it play out. There's never ending cycle of Ricos, conspiracy, murder. Gotta stop. It start with us. This is the time. This is the era to do it. I want to say to all the
people out again, what's wrong with that message, right? It seems like a very sincere message. The guy's not fooling around. He doesn't look like a joke. He's not acting like a joke. He's not making it humorous. He's relaying a pretty serious, question. He's driving a proper serious initiative. and he's helping people, right? He's probably going to save some lives in the process. I just don't get the mocking side of things. And also, he's not. This is Adam 22 is not a comedian. He's not Drewski. He's not some skit guy. He for some reason decides to copy the thing and mock the whole thing. That's what you can hear now. You can hear Adam 22 recording his own version of what that guy did in a mocky tone.
Out there, I ain't gangbanging no more. I've been GDBD Vice Lord for a long time now. Been doing battle with my ops, done battle with the police, put in work in the jails, but I decided I needed to change my life. Ever since the big homies caught me playing with my booty hole, they've been extorting me, $20K a month. I can't live like this no more, man. It's too expensive, and I'm ready to just be me. So I encourage everybody out there to do the Drop My Flag challenge and just and live your truth on the dead homies. So yeah, gangbanging is out. Carrot and myself is in.
You know what's really disgusting about this as well? If academics would have done that, if academics would have done what Adam 22 did, the threats on his life would have been out of the world. There'll be people on camera toting guns, pulling out machetes and all types of weapons. There'll be people going crazy on the fucking internet, spitting with fucking foam and crust all in the corners of their fucking mouth, veins popping in their forehead, talking about on the dead homies, on the dead. If academics did this, if Poetic Flocko from the Jumper did this, just imagine the response. But because the guy's white, they kind of let him put it's just this unnecessary. Like, for instance, across the board, the violence is bad. But this picking and choosing of who gets certain threats, who comes after certain people, is fucking insane. And in my opinion, I feel like Adam 22 in particular has been getting away with it, which is why he feels more emboldened to do these type of things, because he knows a lot of these guys won't do nothing because they like him paying it. They like getting paid by Adam 22 more than they want to kind of, essentially tell him to kind of stop what he's doing. Because I've never heard one person complain about not getting paid for no jumper. I've heard of people saying they get underpaid or whatever, but I haven't heard of one person saying that they never got paid. It seems like they pay all their invoices on time, and also they employ a bunch of people who probably are unemployable anywhere else. Right? Look at someone like a Lush; he probably wouldn't be hired anywhere else if not the fucking no jumper. So maybe the reason why people act this way and kind of turn the blind eye to Adam 22 is because there's no other place they could go to on that scale that would give them that opportunity to speak and to earn that money. But I think it's fucking annoying, and he just keeps getting worse and worse because nothing happens to him, unfortunately.
Peace. I seen something on New York drill officials, like a challenge, so like drop your flag or whatever. So I was like impromptu. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna make like a funny version of that. So I did it. Now I got this dude, Hocus 4/5, who I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I heard his name before, but I never actually like knew anything about him. Never talked to him. Never met him. Never watched any content from him.
So if you didn't know him, you don't watch any content about him, why did you do the mocking thing then? Why do the parody? Why do the skit? Why take the piss out of it? If you have no recollection, no understanding, no awareness, no knowledge of that guy, as he says, which I don't believe him, but if that is what he's saying is true, then why do the mocking challenge? Just leave the guy alone. Leave him and his challenge alone. It's got nothing to do with you. You're not gangbanging. You're not involved in a gang. You're not an active gangbanger in any way, shape, or form. Just keep scrolling. If anything, that guy would have been a perfect guest to have on No Jumper, really, think about it, right? With the obsession that fucking Adam 22 seems to have with fucking gang life anyway, having somebody on that's kind of renouncing his gang, dropping his flag, would have been a pretty good interview to kind of counterbalance or to contrast a lot of the people that are active gangbangers who are on that show. But instead, he wants to take the piss.
I don't know anything about him, but apparently he's like a guy. I guess it's his challenge, which I didn't really perceive, because when I looked at it, I watched like 7 videos in a row on New York drill officials. So yeah, I mean, he's pushing this narrative that like I'm making fun of him or calling him gay for dropping his flag or whatever. I don't even know you to like make a joke about you. So just wanted to get in front of that one. I thought it was kind of funny. I'm gonna be real. But if you want to quit being in a gang, that's cool. You can do that. We don't really do that in LA, I guess. Yo.
What do you mean we? We don't really do that in LA. You're not in a fucking gang, you fucking dog. Honestly, anytime we've seen him in a physical altercation too, we've seen how he fucking, conducts himself. And let's just say he doesn't really conduct himself in a gang-worthy way, you would imagine, right? He's very, very quick to kind of squirm and cover his face. He doesn't, I mean, doesn't do anything like about we. That's not what we do in LA. We. Honestly, man, I don't know. Stuff like this just angers me because, like I said, I think if Academics does that, if Poetic Flocko does that, you know, the timeline is on fire. The timeline is on fire if any of those guys fucking do that. God forbid Jason Lee, you know, Charlemagne the God, all these guys, if they do exactly the same thing Adam 22 does, you know, these guys are jumping out of their bodies to threaten these guys. Jumping out of their bodies to kind of make sure that they know that their lives are in danger for daring to threaten their precious gangs. But a white person does it, everyone turns a blind eye. Everyone fucking turns a blind fucking eye. Talking about turning a blind eye, I think I got this one wrong, didn't I? Think I got this one wrong along with the entire internet. Do you remember that referee called David Coote? Well, David Coote is in a bit of bother. He's in a bit of an oopsie doopsie, to say the least, right? I think an oopsie doopsie is kind of underplaying the severity of what he's being charged with. But David Coote, who's a former Premier League referee here in the UK, was accused of some pretty heinous things because he was recorded, if I'm not mistaken, he went to an afters. He was at an after somewhere doing a bunch of drugs with a bunch of lads, and they recorded him saying some very unsavory things about the then Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp, talking about football in general, whatever it may be. And I guess part of their code of conduct as a referee, you're not meant to do that, right? You're not meant to speak like that, especially, you know, about managers, because it would make you be a bias or maybe whatever else may be a conflict of interest, whatever. There was an investigation after the video leaked of him at the afters with those lads. And the sad thing as well, I think at the time, was that that video was like a year old from the incident. But the lad just released it randomly. And then David Coote eventually ended up losing his job. He loses his job. And then I think fast forward to like 6 months after that, you saw images of him being an every delivery man. He ended up doing delivery, like I think Amazon or whatever. And people are like, oh my God, look how sad it is. That one guy who did that thing and released a video was a real dickhead. I think I mentioned it on the stream myself, that kid, you know, like one of the rules of an after is that you're not meant to be recording people. Everyone's meant to be like, have their privacy to fucking do as much drugs and drinks or whatever else nonsense they want to do in the privacy of somebody's afters. And that's the kind of conclusion. Well, I guess we were all wrong. We were all wrong to have his back, because look at this recent charge. David Coote, former Premier League referee, is charged with making an indecent video of a child. So this same guy that everyone was defending and saying that, you know, he should be allowed to have his fun and be out in afters and not be kind of, you know, beholden to the rules, he has now been charged essentially of being a fucking pedophile. Absolutely crazy. So let's read the actual article here. It says former Premier League referee David Coote has been charged with making an indecent video of a child. The 43-year-old from Collingham is due to appear in Nottingham Magistrates Court on Thursday. He's been charged with Category A offence which relates to a video file recovered by officers in February 2025. Category A is the most serious of all categories. The charge of making an indecent image of a child refers to activities such as downloading, sharing, or saving abuse photos and videos. Coote was sacked by the professional games match officials, the PGMOL, in December 2004 after a video appearing to show Coote making derogatory comments about Liverpool manager and former manager Jurgen Klopp was widely circulated on social media. In August this year, he was given an 8-week suspension. The PGMOL investigation also covered a second video which emerged on November 2024 appearing to show Coote snorting cocaine. Yeah, that was the other video. Another video went viral of him having a line of coke, purportedly during the Euro 2024, where he was the assistant VAR for the tournament. So I'm sure some of us knew this, but there are some assistant referees who are currently officiating games currently high. Absolutely crazy. And then, of course, he rocked up to court earlier today and he pleaded not guilty. He pleaded not guilty in court. But look at how he looked. Look at how he got dressed up. He went to court dressed up like a member of the Specials or something. Do you know what I mean? What the fuck's this guy doing? What the fuck is this guy doing? Like, does he not realize the seriousness of his crimes? He rocked up to court in a pair of Ray-Bans and a fucking skinny suit, like he's in the fucking Specials. Absolutely crazy. Former referee David Coote pleads not guilty to making indecent images of a child. The former Premier League referee David Coote has pleaded not guilty to making a indecent image of a child. Coote appeared not in the magistrate's court in the Thursday, having been charged on the 12th of August in relation to the video recovered by police officers in February. The charge of making an indecent image of a child refers to activities such as downloading, sharing abused photos. The 43-year-old attended court in a navy suit, spoke only to confirm his name and date of birth and enter his plea. He has been charged with Category A offence. The games Coote has refereed include the 112 in the Premier League, the 143 in the Championship, and the 30 in the FA Cup. Coote was sacked by the English refereeing board last December after a video surfaced of him making comments about then Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp. Coote came out as gay in January. It's been a rollercoaster from him, right? He gets exposed of saying bad shit about Jurgen Klopp in fucking Liverpool. He then comes out as gay because that video, you know, he was in close proximity with a lot of men. People kind of came to conclusions about that. After his plea, Coote was granted conditional bail by the judge. He's due to appear in Nottingham Crown Court again in plea and preparation trial for the 9th of October. It's pretty crazy that you can get released on bail when they find images of you abusing children, or maybe images of children getting abused on your computer. You'd imagine that would be a serious enough charge for you to not be granted bail, but this country is unfortunately, you know, one of the bedrocks of this country is noncery, to be honest. Noncery and PDF activities are the bedrock of this country, from, you know, politician, royal family, to TV presenters, to fucking sports teams. There's always been a touch of PDF in this great country of mine, unfortunately. So it's probably no surprise that they decided to grant him bail, because most likely there's people in that very courtroom who have probably done the exact same thing that he has been accused of doing, which is pretty crazy when you think of that as well itself. Like, absolutely insane situation and settings. I'm curious to see how it plays out. I'm curious to see what evidence we'll hear from again regarding the situation, how they're going to try and spin it. I'm really fucking curious to see how they're going to fucking spin it. It's going to be incredible to see how they're going to make it of it, the whole situation. But if, in case you're wondering, this was the video that went viral. In case you're wondering, this is the first video that went viral that kind of cost him his job in the first place, where he was at an after somewhere, and this guy, allegedly, was the one responsible for sharing the video of him at an afters looking very worse for wear and talking very badly about Jurgen Klopp and other managers.
So what did you think of the Liverpool game earlier when you were fourth official?
Liverpool was shit.
What do you think of Jurgen Klopp?
Cunt, absolutely.
What would you say? Why would you say that Jurgen Klopp was a cunt?
Aside from having a right pop at me when I ref them against Burnley in lockdown, then he accused me of lying, and then just had a right fucking pop at me, and I've got no interest in speaking to someone who's fucking arrogant. So I do my best not to speak to him. Milner's alright. I get on with so
James Milner. You get on with James Milner.
You can see me there with mask on.
Yeah. Mask on, obviously.
Yeah. COVID got to be done. Social distancing, right? We're 2 meters apart.
We have to social distance.
Yeah. So, but oh my god, German cunt, fuck me.
German cunt, you gotta love that. You gotta love that.
Right, like, just to be clear, that fucking last video can't go anywhere. Seriously.
He's a Premier League referee. Let's not fucking ruin his career. Like, let's face it, we're good blokes, but
oof,
we can't.
You can see the fucking perico. You can see the perico hanging up his fucking nose there, isn't it? Jesus fucking Christ. Honestly, only in afters would you bump into a Premier League fucking referee, and your one video would end up ruining his entire life.
We can't ruin a bloke's career. Like, we're not that bad. Also, he's a fucking legend.
I think even he knew at that moment he was not a legend. Even he couldn't fake it. Even he knew deep down, I'm not a legend, mate. You do not want to see my laptop. He was probably thinking right there, you do not want to see my hard drives. You do not want to see my fucking hard drives. I am not a fucking legend, so I understand. I freaking understand. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the Excellent Thing Show episode number 942. Thank you for tuning in. Episode number 942 of the Excellent Zinger Show. Before we leave, actually, I'm going to gift some memberships for the channel. I'm trying to hit 500 members for this channel as well. I'm doing both on the Random Show and this channel. I'm trying to hit 500 members. So I'm going to give out some gifted memberships for you lovely people. But if you want to join, there's a link down below for you to join. So make sure you do. But I'm going to give some 5 memberships away for these people who are watching currently. So thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate you. So here's some gifted memberships for you. Whoever gets them, enjoy, have a good time. Don't fucking thank me. It's okay. I'm okay. I appreciate you. Those of you who are watching or listening and everything else, thank you. I appreciate you. Smash a like, hit subscribe, all that good shit will be greatly appreciated. I'll be back again later on tonight for a random show. So obviously keep an eye out for that one. That'll be in a few hours, of course. Gonna head to the gym and stuff. So make sure you head over for that one. And yeah, man, appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for joining in. Been a pleasure to have your company. For those of you listening via the podcast app, I'm gonna play for you my tune of the day. My tune of the day is by the one and the only Years of Denial. It's from their latest EP that just dropped called Love Cuts. The track I'm going to play as my song of the day will be my track called Hide and Sick. Hide and Sick is my tune of the day. My tune of the day is a tune called Hide and Sick. It's a tune called Hide and Sick, courtesy of Years of Denial. I'm going to play that right now for you today because fuck it, why the hell not? Let's fucking go. Years of Denial, Hard and Sick is my tune of the day. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see the rest of you guys again very, very soon. But for now, peace.